Speaking confidently from experience, both in a disputes and M&A capacity, nothing kills the thrill of a deal quicker than a post-acquisition surprise. Worse still though, is knowing that careful drafting of the sale and purchase agreement, or SPA, could have pretty well mitigated the risk of the dispute. In this episode of Call to Account, I look at two common areas of post-acquisition disputes: the accounting-related disputes and disputes relating to warranties and indemnities. So the question is, how can I proactively manage the risk of a post-acquisition accounting dispute? On the accounting side, the disputes often centre on how the completion mechanisms are applied in determining the final purchase price, or on the calculation of the earn-out. At their core, both are fundamentally driven by the drafting of the SPA, from how accounting terminology is defined to how accounting standards are applied. So here are a few tips to remember when drafting the SPA that will assist you in proactively managing the risk that a post-acquisition accounting dispute will arise. Firstly, the terms financial statements and accounts can mean different things to different people, so be specific about the types of accounts that are being referred to in the SPA. Secondly, avoid using the terms management accounts and or simply attaching an extract such as the balance sheet or the profit and loss statement to the SPA. Now I say this because the management accounts or extracts from those accounts haven't necessarily been prepared in accordance with accounting standards and are not accompanied by stated accounting policies, and will therefore not likely include year-end accounting adjustments that may be applied when preparing your year-end accounts. And the third tip concerns the basis on which the completion accounts or financial statements will be prepared. If you're the purchaser, you're more likely to push for the financial statements or completion accounts to be prepared using generally accepted accounting principles. This is because they typically provide the purchaser with greater wriggle room to negotiate around price as well as the computation of the earn-out. On the other hand, if you're the seller, it's going to be in your interest to ensure that the SPA states that the completion accounts or financial statements will be prepared in accordance with a particular accounting hierarchy. At the top of that hierarchy is that the accounts will be prepared in accordance with the seller's accounting policies and practices, and you need to ensure that those are properly and fully described in the SPA. Secondly, that they are prepared on a consistent basis with the seller's audited or unaudited accounts, and make sure that you attach a copy of those accounts to the SPA, and then at the bottom of that they will be prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Now turning to warranties and indemnities. In essence, warranties and indemnities are mechanisms for disclosing information during the due diligence period and allocating risk between the buyer and the seller. However, because the protection they afford the buyer may be restricted by the fundamental principle of caveat emptor or buyer beware, warranties and indemnities typically provide the weakest level of protection to the buyer in the SPA. In lay terms, a warranty given by a seller is a statement of fact on a particular subject, such as the profitability or performance of the target business, that is given to the buyer about known problems that relate to that particular subject. They should not be viewed, however, by the buyer as a backstop for failing to conduct proper and thorough due diligence, and are only true at the time they are given. Typically, the legal remedy for a breach of warranty is to place the buyer in the same position it would have been but for the breach, of course subject to the usual rules of mitigation and remoteness. That loss is often measured as the difference between the market value of the target business as warranted and the as-is value of the target business given the breach. In many instances, the substance of the dispute comes down to the question of whether or not the buyer struck a good bargain or a bad bargain. In contrast, indemnities are given in respect of specific and known matters that clearly fall outside the responsibility of the buyer, such as environmental risks, product liability, and tax matters. As indemnities operate to provide dollar-for-dollar compensation related to the relevant risk, they generally afford the buyer the opportunity to litigate a claim in debt rather than in breach of contract, and therefore avoid many, but not all of the difficulties associated with litigating breach of warranty claims. To further emphasise the weakness in relying on warranties and indemnities rather than very strong, concise wording in the SPA, extracting a financial settlement from a breach of warranty or a breach of an indemnity claim will be contingent on whether the seller is able to pay or is even around to pay any damages that are awarded. So you might win on liability, but still not see a cent. I hope this has helped. See you next time on Call to Account.